Hi, guys. So, this is the final episode for this particular series. And I saved the best for the last because I think it's really the crux of all that we do. And especially as professional organizers, it is so important for us to practice what we preach. And so, we're going to be talking today about time management tips and strategies for the solopreneur. And so, the solopreneur is anybody that is running a business and doing the job right now. And the goal, hopefully, is eventually to be able to get your business to a place where you can outsource and delegate some of the heavy lifting so you don't have to wear all of the hats because it is exhausting, both mentally and physically, to wear all of the hats. But when we're starting out a business, we oftentimes don't have the financial means to be able to hire a bunch of people to do the things. So there is a lot that we are tasked with doing. Also, I think in the professional organizing world specifically, there are a lot of nuances that we don't always give ourselves credit for about the things that we do that require our time, both on site and off site with clients. And so, want to talk about a few key specific areas. And if you see me looking down, it's because I have a bunch of notes here, because again, this is an area that I love, love, love to talk about it. If you want to go deeper on this, we cover a lot of this in our mentoring cohort. This is a big area that we talk about. I also dedicate a lot of time when I'm doing one-on-one mentoring with people to really help our POs in our community stay on track. Or if you fall off track with some of these tips and strategies, how do we get back on, right? How do we get back on the wagon? So let's just start from the top, and I'm going in order that this was like coming to me as I was prepping for this episode. So first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of time blocking. Time blocking is, at least in my world, is simply a matter of looking at your day, your week, your month, and saying, I'm going to break down into chunks of time how and where I'm spending my time. The beauty of time blocking is you can get as specific or stay as broad as you want. So I don't always get super, super granular. I will say, for example, in my world, currently where I am right now, I don't start my official workday normally until 10, meaning if you were to book time on my calendar, you won't see any availability until 10 o'clock. That doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything until 10. That means between the hours of 7 in the morning, when I typically wake up, to 10 in the morning, I am relaxing and having coffee. I am checking emails. I am maybe taking care of personal phone calls that I need to make, whether that means scheduling my car in for service or making a doctor's appointment. So non-work related things I am often taking care of in those early morning hours. That is the top block of time. So for me, that I wake up and have my coffee. So 7 to 8 is like Lori personal time. Then between 8 and 10, that's when I either schedule appointments, if I have some other personal related things, or if I'm doing volunteer work, anything that's not SBO related, I will take care of it during that pocket of time. And then come 10 o'clock, I flip that switch. And typically, this isn't always every day, but typically between 10 and 3, I'm in work mode. So every day that might look different. So on Mondays, that's usually my call day. So on Mondays, 10 to 3, I have calls booked. Tuesdays, I see clients. Wednesdays, I do mentoring. Thursdays, I do podcasting. Fridays, it might be a wild card. So every day I may have those hours blocked, but they look different. Now, again, I work full time. Sometimes you might be working part time. You may have kids where you're working 3 days a week or 1 day a week or 2 days a week. So you adjust your time blocking schedule for you. I know where and when I check. I'm dedicating time to do follow-ups for clients, when I do my research, all those kinds of things. So that's a general kind of framework for time block. Now, these are some things that I think are very important that often get overlooked. when you're building your professional organizing business, when you are on site, and this goes for any manual labor job, if you will, whether you're in construction or you're out and about doing something else, or you're building like a business as a stylist, when you are doing something physically and you're not at your desk, it's very difficult to multitask because you're not going to typically stop if you're in the middle of working with a client to research product or answer another email or make some phone calls. You're pretty much focused at your task on hand. And so all of that back end work, invoicing clients, connecting up with other people that you need to, responding to emails, creating proposals, all of that work has to be done at another time. So when you are looking at your time blocking, and this part, I really want you to lean in on this. If you say, and I'm just going to make up a fictitious avatar. If you're somebody I'm a mom and I'm starting this professional organizing business because my youngest is now in preschool. So I've got 3 mornings a week that I can work. I would strongly encourage you, unless you're planning on doing it in the evenings or whatnot. If you're like, I've got maybe 12 hours, like 4 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that I can work, I would strongly advise making one of those days what I would call a non-billable day. And I would use that time to do all of that back end admin work. Now, that admin work, again, might look different. Not every week you're doing invoicing, but maybe you're doing one week you're working on your website, or another week you are working on your content calendar, whether it's for social media, for emails, for whatever. If you have a podcast, for a podcast, but what content am I going to be putting out there? Maybe you need to be doing shopping for a client or research for a client, or maybe you're like, I want to connect up with some other local businesses that complement what I do. So I'm looking for donation people. I'm looking for recycling people. I'm looking for whatever it is, fill in the blank. So I want you to make sure that you are leaving enough time so that you aren't strapped to do the important business related things. And that could mean accounting, invoicing, creating proposals, all of those things that we still need to do with running our business, in addition to what we started it for, which is rolling up our sleeves and helping a client be organized. Now, some people will say, listen, I'm working 3 days a week. I'm going to work those 3 days a week, and I'm just going to fill this in the evenings or on the weekends when I have time. You certainly can do that. But again, my goal is I want to set you up with sustainable habits and routines that are going to last. And I don't want things to fall through the cracks. So many things fall through the cracks that are business related workflow. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other professional organizers build sustainable businesses, because so much of this other important foundational pieces of your business can fall through the crack because you're so focused on doing the part of the business that you love, which is getting on site and helping people, rolling up your sleeves and helping them organize their homes. So I just don't want you to lose sight of that. I always try to tell people that you're a business owner. When you decide that you are going to start your own professional organizing business and not work for an organizer, and there is no shame in going to work for an organizer, but once you make that decision to say, I'm going to start my own business, you have already just shifted from being a professional organizer to being a business owner who owns a professional organizing business. And so there is a distinct difference in that. And I want you to always approach the decisions that you make when it comes to marketing your business, pricing your business, the workflow of your business. All of that stuff should be made with a business owner mindset, not the organizer mindset, if that makes sense. Okay. So 3 things that I think you can do. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. So 3 things that I think everybody should do or 3 rules to live by, I would say, as you're crafting out, trying to avoid burnout. Because let's be honest, we're doing all of these things so that we can be building healthy, profitable, sustainable businesses without getting frustrated, because there's always going to be frustration, but we want to avoid burnout. We want to serve our families, our communities, our clients, and of course, ourselves. So the first thing that you can do is set some healthy boundaries. I know that the B word is like a trigger for a lot of people, but I really truly mean it when I'm saying setting boundaries. And what does that mean? That means if you say, I'm going to take Fridays, one Friday a month for professional development, and I'm going to invest in a mentoring session myself, or I'm going to listen to a webinar or attend a webinar, do something like that. I want you to try to stick to it. I understand that emergencies happen and things go sideways, but I want you to try to create some boundaries and stick to them, because the last thing that we want to do is cheat ourselves because we wouldn't do that to a client. And I've seen so many people who I coach and mentor who will always put themselves last, and they will shortchange themselves the way that they would never, ever do to a client. And so if you are unable, if you say, for example, to give you like a practical example, if you're like, I'm going to take Fridays off, I'm not going to see clients on Fridays. That is going to be the day that I'm running my own personal errands. That's the day that I go get my hair done, or that's the day that I take the car in to get serviced, or whatever that looks like for you. If a client calls and says, can you see me on Fridays? You have two choices. You can either say, yes, I will, or no, I'm not. Now, I'm not saying that you should never be flexible, which is my second point. You can and you should in your business. I think it's important. We have to be somewhat flexible. We can't be super rigid. However, I want you to still replace that time with another opportunity for you to not neglect yourself. So in this real life example, if you're like, I'm going to take Fridays and Fridays are going to be my day to do whatever that is, fill in the blank. And a client says, can you see me on Friday? And you don't want to say no to that client for any given reason. You absolutely can say yes, but then perhaps Wednesday of that week or Thursday of that week, or set aside for the following week, I want you to open up time on your calendar to replace so that you can refresh and not just neglect yourself. It is no different than when I talk about calendar clutter when I'm coaching people, and I talk about we are adding things into our proverbial closets without removing anything. If you keep saying yes to people and not saying, okay, I'm going to then reclaim that time elsewhere, then you are just adding to the calendar clutter of your life. And I don't want to see that happen, because that's when stuff falls through the cracks. That's when we start becoming resentful. That's when we start burning out. And we are not doing anybody, least of all ourselves, any help by doing. I want you to be thinking, am I leading by example? And have that honest conversation with yourself. I often ask that, are the things that I'm doing, I always tell people, and my husband hates when I say this, it's an eye roll. I didn't come up with the phrase, but I use it all the time. And I always say, behavior is a language. Am I acting out the way that I want to be acting out? Am I showing up for people the way that I want to be showing up for people? Are we going to have busy seasons? Absolutely. Are we going to probably have times where we are overworked? Life happens. But am I putting in whatever guardrails I can to protect my time and my boundaries so that I can be the best business owner, organizer, friend, mom, wife, partner, whatever that I can be? And that is the one thing, because you will never work so hard as when you are starting your own business. It is personal. It is something that, especially so many of us have done this, started this out of a passion that we have. And so we have a personal investment in this, not to mention the financial component that is really important for so many of us. And working smart doesn't always mean working long. It doesn't always mean working harder. It means being wise. And if you are somebody that you know that you are prone to either taking on too much or not being able to set and maintain those healthy boundaries, then I strongly encourage you to find some sort of accountability partner outside of your spouse, outside of your regular girlfriends, but some sort of accountability partner that is going to help you when you feel stuck. And that could mean a mentor. That could mean joining a group. That could mean finding another professional organizer that you connect up with, or maybe even another local business owner in your neck of the woods that has a complementary business so they understand the challenges. I know for me, this was one of my biggest pain points when I first started because I didn't have another professional organizer locally. I didn't really know any other professional organizers. Nowadays, especially through social media, it's so much easier to connect up with people. But I craved having somebody I could bounce ideas off of. I craved that mentorship to be able to say, I don't want to keep going. I'm feeling burned out. I've been doing this and I'm not getting the results that I want, or I'm finding it hard to stay on track and respect my boundaries, or I see that I'm neglecting my business in this one area and I don't know how to get out of it. And so if you're in a rut, I get it because I was there for so long. And we go through seasons of our lives and seasons of our business. And that's why community is so important. And that's really why I created the SBO Partner Program. To be honest, is I wanted to create this community for professional organizers to feel less alone, to bounce ideas off in a safe space, and also to have the guidance of somebody who's a few steps ahead of you. I've been doing this since 2009. And so when I tell you, like, I've seen, or I don't want to say I've seen it all. I'm sure there are certain things that I haven't seen, but I've seen so much and I've made so many mistakes along the way and things that I wish I had done smarter or differently, but I just didn't know any better. And if I were able to have somebody to say, this works and this is why, or try this might be more effective, like that would have been such a valuable tool. So I'm so grateful to be able to have a platform to be able to share that with you. So whether it's through this podcast video series or audio series, or through our one-on-one coaching and mentoring, our cohorts, or whatever it is, please let us know if there's something that we can do here, my team and I, to support you, because there are still as many organizers as there are out there. There are still way more people that need organizing help, that need your specialty, that need your gifts, that need you to sit with them and navigate through their stuff. And if I can help you do that in a way that isn't going to burn you out, that isn't going to take this passion that you have for helping others and have you get so frustrated with it and still continue to love it 15 years later the way I do, that is just why we're here. And just remember, you are only as good as you putting your oxygen mask on first. I know it's cliche, but it really is true. And we want to be able to show up for our clients with honesty and authenticity. And that means respecting our boundaries, setting those parameters. And maybe it's going to take a little bit longer, but slow and steady wins the race. And this is a long game we're playing, people, right? We're not trying to always do a sprint's good for a short amount of time, but it's not sustainable. And so you're going to have periods and seasons where you are sprinting and you are busy and you don't have enough time to regroup and recharge. But I want you to try to have that established schedule and routine so that when you are done with that temporary sprint, you can go back to your slow and steady cross-country race. So I don't know why I just made this running analogy, but anyway, here we are. I hope this has been useful for you. I really am here to support, encourage you. Send us anything about your business. We want to champion you, support you on social media. And of course, if you're looking for additional help and support, please reach out to us if any of our offerings make sense to you. We'd love to talk with you. Our hub for everything is our website, simply the letter B like boy, organize.com. You can always email us directly at info@simplytheletterb.com. the letter B like boy organized.com. That goes to me and my assistant. So we will all see it and get back to you. I hope this series has been useful, and I am encouraging you on your entrepreneurial journey to becoming a professional organizer. So thank you so much for listening. Peace out.